Alright, that's the intro done.
Alright.
Alright. So here we are. We've got the iMac, and this video is going to kind of introduce what we're planning on doing with it, as well as kind of outlining what to expect in the coming days and weeks with this project. So, first things first, the name, Frankenmac. It was pointed out to me that Snazzy Labs already used that name, so we're gonna have to think of a different name. Right. So, I'm happy to announce here today in this very video that we have a new name for what we're gonna call the gaming iMac. We are going to call this the the iMacenstein.
Wow.
I mean,
totally original. Totally original.
It's great. It's not derivative of the previous name in the slightest. And what I think is so good about it is it rolls off the tongue. It's seamless. It's flawless. Much like the iMacenstein itself is obviously going to be.
Of course.
There's going to be zero issues.
Yes.
And it's going to work perfectly out of the box without us having to do anything.
Yep.
I think. So, let's go over what we're going to do to this and when. Because we're going to split it into a couple of different videos so that we're not putting out like a 45-minute video.
Yes.
So, the first thing that we're going to upgrade is the hard drive. So this isn't the hard drive thing that we need.
Because we don't have it yet.
That is true. But also because this is still the wrong part.
Oh.
You can hand me the other one.
Oh.
There we go. Okay, so this is just a USB to like hard drive connector. I highly recommend, if you work on computers, you should get one of these so that you can plug in like a laptop drive or an SSD over USB. These are very good to have. But this is the real thing that we need, and there will be a B-roll of it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically what this allows us to do is, once we get inside of this thing, we can plug in, this is just a normal SATA port with a SATA power connector, and it adapts to the sort of Apple proprietary hard drive connector that we're going to need to hook up this hard drive inside of this machine. So we're going to be putting a second SSD in here. Now you can't put 3 drives in this, as I mentioned in the initial video, if you replace the optical drive with a hard drive caddy. We're not going to do that just yet. We're going to save that for another day if we get around to it. For now, we're probably going to take out the optical drive so that we can increase the cooling and airflow inside the machine, because we have some pretty beefy graphics to cool, which is a perfect segue into the second thing that we're going to upgrade. Pass it over.
There it is.
I'm happy to announce, here it is. This, ladies and gentlemen, but mostly gentlemen according to my demographics, is a GTX 980M with 8 gigabytes of VRAM.
Wow, very nice.
I know. The only iMacs that you can get with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, and this is true, are the brand new Radeon Pro 580 equipped iMac 27 inches, which start at $2,300.
Wow. Pretty hefty.
And, of course, the iMac Pro, which starts at $5,000. So, as far as VRAM goes, this is by far the cheapest iMac with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, which is quite an accomplishment.
That is one thing that we can't say
that
about
is
the computer.
One
thing.
Okay, so the next thing, pass it on over here. This is very exciting. 1, 2, 3, 4 chips of RAM. Each of these are 4 gigabytes.
So wait, how much is that in total? So it's 4 times
4. We're gonna put 16 gigabytes of RAM, and none of these match because I already had them and I didn't want to buy more. But don't worry, because when we do the pricing at the end, I'll factor in the cost of RAM. So that's that. But
I was worried about that.
I know you were. But there is one thing missing, which is the SSD that we're going to put in this machine.
Yes.
Which is going to be a 1 terabyte SSD.
Wow.
To accompany the already present 2 terabyte hard drive that you see macOS running on right now. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go to Micro Center and we're going to get a 1 terabyte SSD, not a hard drive, and we're going to put it in. Well, but first we're going to clone all of this stuff onto it so that we don't have to do that later. And then we are going to proceed in the next video to upgrade the hard drive and install Windows. The reason that we're going to do that before we do the graphics, and the reason why they're two separate videos, is because based on the alarming amount of research that I did into this, because it's actually quite hard to find information on upgrading iMacs outside of what Apple wants you to do, because it all is user generated. There's no Apple, upgrade compatibility list for any of the stuff that we're doing. It's all basically trial and error through the community. But what I have heard is that when you exchange the graphics for a non-Apple graphics card, in addition to losing the boot screen and stuff that we've talked about when I did my Mac Pro upgrades, you're also going to potentially mess up if you don't have your boot camp and your boot configuration already in place. So we're going to do all of those with this machine in its stock configuration, apart from the hard drive upgrades, obviously. And then, once we get that all set up, we're going to go in and install these upgraded graphics. But that'll also give us a chance, because once we have Windows on this thing, we can install some Windows games, and then we can see a kind of before and after gaming performance. So that is going to be good as well. So stay tuned. The next video is going to be the hard drive upgrades, and then after that, we're going to do the graphics card upgrades. And then, after that, I'm going to use this machine for a couple of days, probably a week or so. I didn't actually bring home my gaming PC. This is actually what I'm going to use for my entire winter break, which is until January 14th. So I'm going to use this as my primary gaming rig until then. And we'll make a video, a sort of finale video on how it's held up and if it in fact works, which hopefully it will, because I don't have anything else to game on. I hope so. Fingers crossed. So let's go get our hard drive.
Or SSD.
That's what I meant. Ah!
Alright, so we are headed off to Micro Center to go pick up our SSD, not hard drive.
Not a hard drive.
Not a hard drive.
I'll get it right eventually. We're gonna get a 1 terabyte, which is more than I thought we were gonna be putting in this thing, but thanks to the SSD price crash, we can actually afford to put in a 1 terabyte for not that much money. Micro Center sells a lot of cheap SSDs.
Yeah.
We'll show you which one we buy, but they're actually remarkably, they're okay. Like they're not as fast as
They're
like
good.
the 960 Evos or anything like that.
Well, they're way
or
better.
M.2.
They're way better than a hard drive.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean,
Way better.
even the slowest of SSDs that you find, like the slow cheap ones, are going to be better than a hard drive. So I'm confident that we're going to get a very good machine here. Wow, it got dark super quick. It sure got dark, didn't it?
Boy, it's crazy. It really do be like that sometimes.
It really do.
Alright, so we're back.
It's frighteningly dark.
It is.
You gotta love those winter nights where it gets dark at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But we got the SSD.
To brighten our day.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you, thank
also, with the lights on my sweater, they're
Yes.
helping us quite a bit.
Oh, yes.
So we got a 1 terabyte SSD for $130.
Yes.
I never would have thought it would be possible. You can get them for even cheaper on Amazon if you hunt around a little bit, but we just wanted something nice and easy, so we went to Micro Center.
So we're gonna figure out if we can use an SSD in 2018.
Barely. We're barely in 2018.
I know.
But
We're gonna have to start saying 2019.
I know.
time.
We're gonna have to. It's gonna take a lot of getting used to. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. With that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Miani, and I will see you guys in the next video, whenever that is.
Now keep your eyes on the road.
Yeah. Well, we were at a light.
Goodbye.